Doing nerds, free nerds for marketing nerds do so much more. Over hill and high where the nerd buggies go. Come along to bring you the Marketing Nerd Show. La 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 la.
We are once again at Startup Boston Week 2025 at Suffolk University, and I am so excited. It has been a ginormous day of podcasting, some excellent guests, and we have saved the best for last, a topic that I can totally relate to. I'm actually burnt out right now. Allison Campbell, Unburnt, talking about burnout prevention. Allison, thank you for coming on the Marketing Nerds podcast. And probably most of our audience right now is like, what the hell does this have to do with marketing? What does it have to do with marketing? In our little conversation beforehand, we get burnt out. Marketers get burnt out. So tell us, am I on the right track here, first of all?
Yes. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, feeling the energy in the room. And yeah, I think it's a really important topic, especially at Startup Week Boston, for founders, for investors. Really, it's a topic that no one's immune from, right?
No.
And so in our day and age today, I think people are more maxed out than ever before, tons of uncertainty in the world. And so I think from a burnout prevention standpoint, as I mentioned, no one's immune, but it's a really important topic to focus on to help folks understand how they can incorporate well-being, they can incorporate strategies to really go the distance.
All
So
right.
we were chatting before this about
Yes.
different perspectives on cycles and how to prevent burnout, or do you crash and burn, rest, recover, and do it again? So curious to get more of your thoughts there.
Yes. So let's talk about this. I want to know more about you. So how did this happen? How did Unburnt, I mean, obviously you dealt with this and now you're able to come out and say, okay, there needs to be some kind of balance. So let's talk about you and how this started and how this happened.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of a company called Unburnt, born out of very real personal experience of burning out myself. So I spent 20 years in a corporate role, different industries, primarily in tech, fast-paced, and I loved it. My whole career was checking all the boxes, really moving up the ladder.
Lots of money.
The titles don't.
fun.
Yeah, the titles, those are nice to have too. And so, you think you're doing all the right things and you're building this career that you're really proud of. I think a couple of inflection points for me. So the first one was the first time I became a mom. So I was working, took maternity leave, and I just came back thinking that my work life would go back to the way it was, not realizing that I had changed forever as a person, right? So it wasn't just the logistics
That's
of
huge.
picking up my daughter from daycare. It was also how I inherently changed forever. I would say, though, the critical breaking point for me and the wake-up call that changed it all was a couple of years after the pandemic. So let's remember, it's not too far back.
No.
The collective trauma we all went through. So I had 2 little kids, was homeschooling my first grader, right? So she went from overnight getting on the bus to go to school to now being responsible to joining Zoom calls, learning how to type, submit her own homework, right? So what did that mean? I was sitting next to her,
hello.
getting her, off and running every morning. My son's daycare closed for 6 months. So he was 3 when the pandemic hit. And so he was just hanging out with us for 6 months. And so I don't think that at the time I really fully internalized that additional pressure and stress, the uncertainty of the pandemic, the fear, the anxiety we all had, plus this really high pressure job. So
Yeah.
I was the chief of staff to the CEO of a $1 billion company, layered on strategy and
That
analytics.
sounds like a lot of stress.
It was a ton.
I mean, that's a lot of physical stress, like hair falling out, losing weight. I mean,
the emotional toll of managing a team through a crisis like a global pandemic. There was just a lot of layers of stress and pressure. And as someone who worked incredibly hard my entire life to hustle and build this career that, quite frankly, I was so proud of, love the mission of my company, right? And I think I'm just going to put a pin in that for 1 minute to say I think that's sometimes what we get wrong about burnout. It's not that we think, I'm over this place. I don't want to do this anymore because I don't care. Oftentimes, burnout happens when we do care and we're sort of pushing aside our own well-being
So would you say you're
thinking-
type A?
Very type A. Learning to
These are most prone to burnout is type A.
Type
I'm
A.
type A as well.
and the I'll take a rest after the next board meeting personality.
Yep.
And so, as you can probably imagine where the story is going, I was ignoring my well-being for months and months.
So what happened? What happened?
Ended up-
Do you mind talking? Like,
No, happy to-
Let's what happened?
I'll give you the whole
Let's dive deep
story.
here. Is that okay?
Absolutely. So I ended up in the emergency room. Was having stomach aches, stomach pains that I kept normalizing.
Now this
as
is because of burnout.
This was because of stress.
Okay.
This was because of not only being so stressed out all the time, but also ignoring stomach aches and rationalizing them as normal. And so I ended up in the emergency room, was
This
told.
is what stress does, by the way.
I-
It tears at the lining of your stomach,
Yes.
the acid. I mean, I don't want to get all medical, but
Yes.
this is serious stuff. Okay.
And by the way, we don't really understand how our bodies work, right? We don't, as I was going through this, I didn't really understand the impact of chronic stress physiologically on my body.
And you're probably drinking coffee, too, to help it along.
lots of caffeine.
Yep.
Not great either for your
Wow,
stomach
this
lining.
is like female version of me right here, but okay.
And so, yeah, I ended up in the emergency room and I had to have surgery.
Ooh.
And that was the wake up call. I think the real inflection point, if I'm being honest, was when I came home from the hospital and my husband and my mother had to help me get into bed.
Oh, no.
And my daughter started hysterical crying.
So, Allison, hold on. So, we're talking like serious stomach issues here.
Yes.
Like burning, like burning through the lining of your stomach, where it could have been fatal because if that backfires into your nervous system, into your blood system.
Yeah, there's tons of potential
stuff. Okay.
downstream impacts. And so that was the wake up call. That was a catalyst to say, this is not working. Like, this is unsustainable. This has now impacted my health. It's impacted my family.
This is a humbling moment. You're like,
I'm-
what
and
are
I'm-
my priorities here?
Correct. And I'm not my job. I'm not my title, right? I'm a whole human.
You're telling yourself this now.
Telling myself this at the time. My identity was wrapped up, but that's really hard to say, right? There's a lot of grief in saying, I'm going to walk away from this career, this job, this company that I've worked so hard, to get to this point. And by the way, as a female leader, having a seat at the table was an incredible honor.
Yeah,
and I
big time.
worked my butt off to get there.
Yeah, yeah. So were you crying during this time? Were you?
Yeah.
I mean, stupid question.
Tons of emotions.
Stupid question.
Tons of emotions.
You're probably pushing through with your type A personality. Your damn stomach just better be healed. I mean, what the hell? I need to get back to work. But you were going in the opposite direction, pretty much.
I knew that I was at an inflection point, right? It's that fork in the road. I
Right.
could go back and it could be probably exactly what it was. And maybe I get sick again, but I certainly wasn't present. And that was another key wake up call moment that if I'm being honest with myself, I'm not showing up in all aspects of my life as holistically as I'd like to. I'm not
Yeah,
present. I
yeah,
was sort of
yeah.
on autopilot. And
Yeah.
you could probably relate to that having gone through this experience.
So you're going for walks with your kids, and you're on your phone, or you're answering an email, or your kids are watching Disney, and you're looking at your phone. I can relate. I can relate.
You're pulling into daycare to pick up, and you're thinking about the 10 other things you need to be doing, right?
Yeah. You're on a Zoom call, probably, right?
And so I just made this decision not only to leave, but to recover, right? Not leave, take 2 weeks off, and then say, all right, back to the next thing. I really wanted to sit with some of the uncomfortable feelings around who am I? If my title doesn't
That's not
define
easy.
me,
That's not easy.
where do I go from here,
Yeah,
right?
that's not
And
easy.
so I started talking to a ton of other professionals in Boston, marketing professionals, tech executives, investors, founders, really just trying to understand, all right, so what does this look like at other companies? I had been heads down for so long. And the common denominator was that so many other professionals I was talking to also were feeling incredibly overwhelmed, a lot of times suffering in silence, kind of afraid to raise their hand. The environment we're still in, very uncertain times. People don't want to have that target on their back to say,
I know.
this might be too much, because layoffs are still happening. And so across industries, job functions, the resounding feedback was people are suffering. And so
Silently suffering.
silently suffering.
Silently. And that's because if you were to say something in a corporate environment, especially like C-suite, whatever, that's like blood in the water and the sharks are going to start circling. That's a sign of weakness. It's not the thing to talk about, right?
Typically. And so, I also wrestled with that. Like, where do I go from here? And I kind of felt like I couldn't look away. After 20 years of being an operator and then having this experience and realizing that there were things we could do, tangible, modifiable things we could do within companies to sort of unwind some of the things that actually lead to burnout, right? So getting at some of the root causes, let's put a focus on that and let's help people be well, because as we know, according to the research, when we're chronically stressed out, we're not doing our best work anyway.
Productivity. Not there. So you're a marketer at this time, right? So you're marketing. You're in a marketing role when this happened?
I was a chief of staff.
Chief of staff.
Yes.
Okay, you did mention that. Okay. So this relates to any sort of job position, especially in the marketing world, because I know previously, before we had this discussion, before we started talking, marketing can be very stressful as well. I mean, any department in a corporate environment is super stressful. So what are the things that you found out? What are some of the warning signs, the early signals that you have gotten into as far as realizing that, hey, I'm about to spiral down into the world of being burnt out?
Yeah.
And this is what you should watch out for before it gets worse. What are some of those things?
Yeah. So some of the classic signs and symptoms, of course, extreme
You set me up for that, by the way. You set me up for that. But it's all good.
Some of the classic signs are absolutely things we would recognize and be able to say is a hallmark of burnout, right? So what you think about in terms of total depletion, exhaustion, kind of that drudgery, feeling like you're kind of operating through a fog, very classically signs of burnout. Now, it's important to really build awareness. Is this a week because it was a really busy project intensive, I had a deadline, I had to deliver something, or is this happening over a longer period of time? But as I got further into the research, I realized that there were other classic signs that I think are showing up a lot more in the workplace. So things like cynicism, starting to feel really negative. Even if you're historically a very optimistic person, when you're starting to get into that burnout cycle, chronically stressed out, think about it. Think back to the last time you were just really overwhelmed and you had enough. Like, you start to really doubt, what am I doing here?
It's become my personality at this point. So, it's become my personality. But that's a very, cynicism is a good one. All right, so I'm thinking, when you're seeing all of these things happening, is this accepted in the corporate environment? Is this kind of treatment, for lack of a better word? Where do you come into all this?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think there's a full spectrum. There's tons of companies who really prioritize well-being, prioritizing mental health more than ever, making those resources available to their employees. And I think a lot of really great leaders get it. They want their people to be well. It's the right thing to do. And at the same time, there's a business outcome. We're saving money. If people are really chronically stressed out and burnt out, they're 2.5 times more likely to look for another job.
Now, Allison, I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Yeah.
So as a leader in a marketing team, this is something that I don't look for. I don't look at. We have goals. We have deadlines. We have to produce content. We have to do social media. We're constantly chugging along. And if you fall off of the wheel, for me as a leader, you're making me realize that maybe that's not the right way to be. As a leader, is to identify your employees who are going through burnout, because productivity will increase if you do recognize it. But I'm the type of person that you gotta, I don't even look at this.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to push back and say it's a miss.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting cognitively, people are not in their best space to be innovating, to be doing really great work.
I feel so vulnerable right now.
Empathy. Well, so I'm going to hit you with empathy really suffers. It's really hard to collaborate and feel like there's trust to be able to debate and get to the best possible answer. But I also think there's really simple things that can be modified. So as a leader, you're caring about the outcome, productivity. We've got to produce. We've got a ton of things.
That's all I think about, to be honest.
There are things that you can do to really smooth those rhythms to ensure they're still happening while your people are being well. So classic things first and foremost. Does everybody understand how their work? So I'm going to keep it very high level without going too far into the weeds of some tactics. But does everyone really understand how their work ladders up to the broader goals of the
Yes.
department as a marketing team,
Yes.
and then further to the company.
Yes.
So much of burnout comes from a lack of transparency, potentially not really understanding how the work fits in. There's also an element where agency becomes really important. And when folks feel like, yeah, I got it, I don't need to be micromanaged, it leads to some of that negativity.
Yeah,
and you're in that
cynicism.
spin cycle of
Absolutely,
feeling really
absolutely.
cynical about the work.
And you know what's really stressful in the marketing world, going back to what you were talking about, is that lack of communication.
Yes.
You know, that's huge. When we're looking at data, we have all these tools that don't work, and then this doesn't work, that doesn't work, things don't fit together, and the communication just causes stress, and that increases burnout.
It does. And those are things that can be right-sized, right? So communication, making sure that, yeah, the data is really tight. And that's obviously something we're all looking for. But when people, especially marketing teams, they're pulling from disparate data sources, they're trying to cobble it all together to make
It's
it work.
very stressful.
Very stressful.
Super stressful. And burnout happens a lot faster. And for me as a leader, again, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. If I see that, I don't like it. I just don't like it. I feel like a jerk. But
Because you're worried that by having the conversation, people are going to slow down. Help me understand. What don't you like?
Yeah, exactly. So so the goals of the department are on me, right? And I have to increase leads or whatever the goal may be. I have to reach that goal, and I'm the coach for my team to make that happen. And if I see any weak spot or any weakness, then that's not good. So this is like it blows my mind a little bit because it's like how do we balance this? And you have the answer because you're smiling.
Well, devil's advocate right back at you.
There
Have
you
you
go.
asked? Have you asked? So when you see a weak spot or
I should.
yeah,
I should.
I think it starts first
I
with
should.
asking the question, right? How can I support you? What's unclear?
Yes.
What don't you have? And as a leader, the answer isn't always, yes, of course, we can hire another person. But even just in inviting that open conversation to start some dialogue
Right.
around why that person's feeling stressed,
Right.
leaving that first meeting, the person's going to feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And then it might also illuminate some areas where there are some gaps in the workflow, in the team, lack of communication or transparency that might be really easy to fix.
Yeah.
And then everyone can be off and running again.
I think that's the bridge because, like you said, when that communication is not there, when all that friction is in the beginning that leads to burnout, then that cynicism comes in and the fingers start pointing.
And it's hard.
And the team breaks down and the morale breaks down.
Yes.
And it gets harder. So what you're telling me right now is very valuable for me as a leader and hopefully for people who are listening to this podcast. Keep an eye on your team. Keep an eye on them. And I'm saying that like I do it, and I really don't, but it's an important step in order to really eliminate burnout, because when you eliminate burnout, that means more productivity, and that's what we all want in the end anyway.
Yeah,
Right?
and better quality work.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's Unburnt? You have a book?
So Unburnt is the name of my company. So I launched a company coming out of all of this research, tons of discovery, lots of conversations.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
Amazing.
So I launched Unburnt, and it has been a phenomenal experience.
Nice.
Really energizing. I work with companies to define culture roadmaps right now, going in, doing workshops, trainings, leadership offsites. And soon, so I'm here at Startup Boston Week.
Are you burning out? Are you burning out?
No, I say all the time. I'm reading from my own playbook, right? The irony
awesome.
of burning out while building Unburnt would be too much to bear.
So tell me, so you start your own company. So you went through this experience and you're like, wow, I see a need. I see a pain.
Yes.
I'm a solution. I need to
Yes.
do this. And you're only in the Boston area?
Yes, I have traveled to some clients, but I'm primarily here right now. I do workshops. I really enjoy the work in person, to get in the room with the team and really sort of unpack what's going on. And I'm in the early stages of building a beta product. So taking a lot of the frameworks I've built and delivering it then, it's not live yet, but delivering it to these teams as an on-demand source to elongate the learnings that they get when I'm in person. So over time, Unburnt will be a hybrid consultancy and tech company.
Whoa, I see franchise somewhere. And I really do. I can't drop a mic, but wow, drop a mic on you. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
thank
so
you.
what's the next step? I mean, Why are you here at Startup Boston Week? What are you here for? Just for me today in the podcast?
Yes.
Yeah, all right,
Top of the
cool,
list.
very cool.
And I'm here to just meet really interesting people. So I've attended some sessions. I am here. I've had a couple of meetings so far, a couple of lunches. And I just love the energy in the room. When you get smart, talented people together, magic really happens. So I'm just here as a participant. I'm also speaking on Thursday.
Nice.
So
I saw your speaker button, which is cool.
yes, unsurprisingly, a
I'm
panel.
going to be here just for that. I didn't plan on being here, but
Oh,
I
please
will
come.
be here
Yes.
for that because I really think I need to hear that.
Thank you.
The one reason why I think I need to hear that is that productivity, right? And that's something as a leader that I have to keep my finger on the pulse of is that productivity. And if my team is burnt out, that's they're not going
suffers.
to they're not going to be productive. So I know my time with you is short. We've already been talking for like 21 minutes, but let's talk about the contribution that AI has to do with burnout. And I know in my marketing department, and I know from my marketing teams that I build, that one person now does the job of 7. Do we have time for this?
Yes.
This is okay?
This is great.
One person does the job of 7. And burnout seems like it's going to go it's going to excel. It's going to go faster. So tell me what is this a good thing? Or obviously it's not, but tell me more about AI and some of the conversations that we had around that.
Yeah. So I think AI is a phenomenal advancement in technology. I mean, we're going to be able to have scientific breakthroughs faster. Of course, we can now automate so many things that are mundane and that we just don't need to be doing as humans. But there's a danger right now that we're backfilling all of these time savings with more, right? Within companies, it's really early days, and we're not super clear sometimes when we're bringing in AI what we're even solving for. And then the last piece that I'm starting to see around stress, and of course there's anxiety around AI. Is it going to replace my job? Do I have time to upskill? Where should I be focused? Because there's so much. But within companies, a lot of clients I work with, they're getting these top-down mandates. Do AI.
Yeah,
That's pretty much
Salesforce recently, right?
that's pretty much the mandate. And employees are grappling with, okay, great, but I can't even get my job done. I'm in back-to-back meetings all day. I still have deliverables. I'm not quite sure. Are there guidelines and is there governance? Can I put all of our company data in? A lot of open questions. And so one of the key things I've started to work into what I'm doing with Unburnt is guidance around, unsurprisingly, clear communication around AI, right? What is the strategy? How is that being communicated? What is the problem you're solving?
You're putting it in its place.
I'm
You're making us the boss.
I'm trying to make
Pretty
sure
much.
that we are still, it's a human-centered, leadership team that is calling the shots, right? And we're leveraging the power of AI, which is unbelievably, it's going to, revolutionize our world. It already is. But how are we putting reins around it such that people understand, how to use it, what problems we're solving, and actually to remove some of the anxiety, because we can do better work with AI in the mix
That's right.
if we're really getting our arms around it. So it's been
huge.
a really interesting new, I don't even want to call it a tangent, because I think it's becoming really important and actually quite core to the work at Unburnt and the work for companies to understand how to integrate and implement AI in a way that is additive and is not adding more stress to the system.
Right, and you don't get burnt out and you become more productive. That's what I'm getting at.
Done and done.
That's it. Boom. All right, where can we find you?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about Unburnt, you can find the website at getunburnt.com. If you want to learn more about me, Allison Campbell, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's where I hang out the most.
That's where I found you. Allison, thank you so much for coming on the Marketing Nerds podcast. Let's have some fun at Startup Week Boston 2025 at Suffolk University. Thanks again for coming on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.